Hey guys, how you do? Video Slack here, and I wanted to talk today about, I guess you would say, something personal. And of course, didn't want to get too personal, but I feel that I do have to talk about this for awareness purposes. So, like I said, I will try to not get too personal, tell you things that I shouldn't be telling you. Now, I've been seeing this more and more as even looking back at social history, I have seen that more and more people that supposedly think that they are the victim and have even formed groups where they think that they are the victim, like they think that they're alone. Now, sometimes I do think that these people sometimes do think that they are the victim in some way or manner. Take, for instance, the men going their own way movement. They think that they are victims and have been screwed over by women and feel that they would rather just be alone. However, I think it is kind of weird how there are plenty of women actually that don't care to get married as well. But yet they don't have a woman going their own way movement like a lot of men seem to have nowadays. Now, I'm not saying that women haven't done bad things to these guys. I'm not saying that. And, you could legally not get married in America lots of times. I mean, you can get away with that. Seriously, you can. But, you know, that's, of course, beyond the point. And then there's also, oh, dang it, what are they called? The incels. With, that group. Where apparently they feel that they are victims because they can't get married or can't get laid. And I've, of course, stated how, in order to get laid realistically, you have to go out on a date with them. You have to pay them sometimes as well, you know, or you have to take them to a nice bar, get them drunk, whatever, you know, or you have to go through cam services to pay women on cam services like on Camster or your favorite porn sites, etc. You don't just you can get laid, but the deal is you aren't always just going to get laid just because you're being nice. That's just not how it works. And the same with marriage. Now, realistically, there are some people out there that are realistically having trouble getting a mate. And but almost everybody is actually having at least some difficulty doing so. I mean, just like I stated to that one transgender, there's even a bunch of rich people that are paying hookers and escorts. And these hookers and escorts are not fucking cheap either. They are not fucking cheap by the slightest at all. They sometimes will pay these hookers and escorts just so they can talk to them for a few hours or go on a date with them even. No, no fucking joke. I'm not joking when I say that. They do that. I mean, when you're that rich, actually, it's very hard to find an actual reliable mate that isn't just trying to get with you for your money. It really is hard for somebody that rich to get an actual realistic mate that is reliable. But then there are these people that I've been seeing a lot lately who also talk about killing themselves. And you have, if you've kept up with my videos, have seen how I have stated how you should not be telling people that you're going to kill yourself. And lots of times when people say that they're going to kill themselves, they actually are probably not going to go out and do that. You want to know how I know that? I gotta take the glasses off. Yep, I'm taking the glasses off. You want to know how I know that? Because I actually attempted suicide when I was 18. Not even a month after I turned 18, actually, I attempted suicide in the year 2018. Yep, I did. And don't feel sorry for me. I've moved on from that. It's been over 10 years. It's been over 12 actually. It's been over 12 years since I attempted suicide. And now, when I attempted suicide, did I tell anybody that I was going to do it? That I was going to kill myself? No, I did not tell everybody that I was going to kill myself. When you're in that kind of stress, it is just overwhelming. And you can become sick. your mind just goes dark, to say the least. Pretty much all the things in your mind going at the time are just dark, and you just are not thinking straight. Let me tell you, you're not thinking straight. Just like the guy when I, afterwards was in the hospital, and he talked about how he stepped in front of a semi, and I was just like, holy shit, how are you alive? And then he just said, oh, he had plenty of time to stop. And I maybe giggled a little bit when he said that. And I'm just like, well, okay, so why'd you attempt suicide then? And he just said, oh, because like my daughter died. She was like maybe a couple years old. It's like, oh, that's sad. And sometimes it's one thing that just out of the blue can make them feel like they want to kill themselves. Being a parent can be a very stressful thing. And when you try so hard to care for a child sometimes, and they die like that, that of course can put you in a bad spot in your mindset. And in his case, he attempted suicide like that. And I mean, wow. And of course, I met a few others that, of course, attempted suicide and everything, and so on and so forth. And I of course chatted with some of them, made friends with some of them. They all talked to me and said I was a nice person to talk to. Thankfully, I didn't have much grievance with much of anybody. I remember there were times when people were sometimes running through the walkways and sidewalks, like they would sometimes just take their clothes off and just go running through the building sometimes, and then the nurses would have to catch them. I mean, just many strange things that I saw, during that period of time when I was in the hospital after I attempted suicide. I remember I also had to get used to all the noises that they were making at the nighttime because, some of them were nutty to the point where they didn't even know what time of day it was anymore. And so, lots of times they would be making noises at the nighttime because that's when they were more awake. They didn't know what time of day it was. They would think it was morning when it was actually like, I don't know, like 10 or 11 o'clock when people are supposed to go to bed. I remember the bedtime was like, oh, it was like 8 or 9 o'clock at night that we had to go to bed, but that's when they were making the most noise. Oh my God. Just fucking annoying, let me tell you. And I remember we always had to ask, the people at the hospital when we wanted to take a shower so that they would turn on the warm water and everything. And yeah, you could definitely say I missed, just being able to get into the shower and just take a shower. We always had to find a nurse wherever they were at just to take a shower. It was just, oh, you know. And the only drink that we could have besides water was Sprite, etc. Man, I was in that hospital for like what, a month and a half. So, but I eventually got to used to all the moaning that all of the old people were making at nighttime. So I eventually managed to get at least some sleep. We never got to sleep in though, and we would have to take a shot from a syringe almost every morning, sometimes depending on your case. It'd be like, I don't know, 7 in the morning, we'd have to wake up. It's like, okay, here's your shot. And I'd be like, ugh, I never get to sleep in. All right, just take the shot. I remember at least the first 2 weeks I had to do that, and then they finally stopped. You're like, okay, you're all right, you're healthy. I was like, okay, thank God. uh, and another reason why people really just need to stop doing that is just because don't compare your grievances with other people, because what that does is that pushes away your relationship with somebody else is what it does. If you're comparing your grievances with your friends and your family, you're going to notice that less and less these people are talking to you, because they're going to think, well, if I try to share my grievance with this person and they're going to compare their grievance with mine and just push me away, well, that's one thing about family and friends. is that you are supposed to share grievances with people, not compare. And like it just said, if you're comparing your grievances and getting pissy at them and putting it on them all the time, you're going to see your family and even your friends, your best friends, are slowly going to stop talking to you. And that is just going to make it even worse. And what also, just telling people out of the blue, like you're going to kill yourself. And I understand you. I get you. You want some attention. I totally get it. You're desperate for attention. But you seriously need to stop doing that, because what that does is it creates a very negative energy in the air, is what it does for people that are dealing with you talking about killing yourselves. And just like I've had to tell at least a few people in my comments, would you rather be a victim or would you rather be a survivor? Would you rather overcome the fact that you are a victim, or would you rather stay a victim? Because if you are going to stay a victim, it's just going to make it a lot harder on you in the long run. And you are not going to get much for it. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me. You are not going to get much for acting like a victim. Now, some people have maybe managed to kind of get something out of being a victim, but let me tell you something. That's not going to last for you if you keep on acting like a victim. Now, there are times, of course, when people, they have a hard time not talking about something, over and over again, about something that has stressed them out, in the past. And these people either have anxiety, like I did for a while, for years, and some will have post-traumatic stress, or even worse, PTSD, which is what a lot of people from war tend to get when they are on the front lines and they see batshit crazy things. Now, of course, people will sometimes, over my lifetime, will try to compare their grievances with me. Well, that's just fine. You want to compare your grievances with me? Let's have a contest then, I guess. Let's have the contest of who has had the worst life ever. Now, there are people that have had a worse and harder life than I have. I'm not going to put it out there and act like I've had the worst life out there. But if you've seriously had it worse than I had it growing up, oh my god. But you want to know, I guess I might say some of the reason why I did it in the past is because I would say one of the biggest reasons was because I was just always fucking working. I mean, and that's part of the reason why I learned how to troll a pen, is because I was doing homework all the time. I was doing paperwork all the time, always on a computer. I'd be typing, I'd be doing this, just like that with my right hand. And then I got bored of doing it with my right hand all the time, so I started doing it with my left, and started learning how to do it with my left hand. I was always doing homework all the time. And I remember I was always shoveling, especially when I was 17 years old. I was always outside shoveling the front. When my brother, since apparently the reason why my father wouldn't have my brother do the front and shovel the front was because he's grown up. He's the one that's responsible because he's going to college, so he doesn't have to shovel the front. Oh, apparently my brother is so responsible that he doesn't have to be fucking responsible anymore. Well, guess what? My brother didn't even complete his college class, and now he is still to this day trying to pay it off. And that is a true story. But it just seemed like, I used to think that people were after me. I would say a little bit sick. I used to think that people were after me because I used to get bossed around like a ton. I mean, of course, right after I attempted suicide, I started, of course, sticking up for myself. That is one thing that I definitely realized when I attempted suicide, is that, you know what, like, you need to just shove your big ass boot up these people's asses sometimes because the way that these people are treating you sometimes, they have no right to be treating you the way that they do. And they also have absolutely no rights to be pushing you around just because they think that they've had it worse than you. And they also, especially, have no right to lecture you either, the way that they were at the time, because they were definitely being abusive at the time. Now, never ever let anybody give any excuse to abuse you. Now, if you don't, I understand that you guys might know the definition of abuse, but you might want to look into what abuse literally is by description and look into that for because sometimes people don't even know that they are actually being abused actually because that's just what how their life has been. So that's one thing I would suggest you also look into because like I just said, some people don't even know that they actually are being abused. And what was going on when I was growing up was abuse. Definitely. Of course, most of these people I don't even talk to anymore, thankfully, which is part of what I did when I moved, out from high school. Because there were, of course, people at the time abusing me when I was in high school, and yeah. But I always think it's also funny how some people think that they've had it so hard, and sometimes I look at their life and I'm just like, oh, you kidding me? You're fucking privileged. Now, just because you're working a lot doesn't mean that you've had it hard. Now, that's the thing about some people. There are a lot more things to worry about than just hard work. Trust me. That and some a-holes. There's so many more things to worry about than shit like that. But yeah, what's more important than just being a hard worker is being able to overcome and become more, I would say, emotionally smart. If I hadn't become emotionally smart when I was around the age when I attempted suicide, actually, because it actually took a while for me to actually attempt suicide, to be frank. It took about like 4 years of constant stress. There were many times around that time period where I couldn't even have fun, you know? I couldn't even have fun. I couldn't enjoy myself because I was always in a constant stress. And sometimes, from time to time, on a weekly basis, there were times I would get migraine headaches from stress itself. It was just bad. But, it's just like I said, sometimes you just got to stick up for yourself and then stick that big boot up somebody's ass sometimes. But of course, with that being said, I guess I'll stop telling the personal stuff because if I go any deeper, it'll get too personal. That you don't need to know everything. But again, please don't feel sorry for me. Like I'm kind of over all of that now. But these are of course just some of the reasons why some people just seriously need to stop acting like they're going to kill themselves. Is because what you need to do instead of acting like a victim all the time is that you need to overcome it if your life is going to get any better than it is now. Trust me. And there's probably more to say for me to say, but I'm just going to stop it there because it's at 19 minutes. Now, of course, if you guys have any more questions, comments about anything about stress, anything, love dolls, just anything in general, just ask in comments. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.